Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to another vlog. Nobody came to my Bible study tonight. I ran a Bible study tonight, but no one showed up. It's just online. So if you're interested in joining a Bible study, you can probably join. I would love it. More people came. Yeah, I just sat in there for an hour and then left. But it's okay. I understand. Sometimes these things don't happen. They don't work. They don't work out like we think they will. You know? A lot of things are like that in my life where I imagine things to be different than they are. So, but it's okay, like I still gotta try. Yeah, this city that I live in is pretty gross. Just my experience from today from walking around. I walked from my house through the downtown area to the university. And I go and read in the library. But yeah, the city's gross. Just gross. You know, everything's getting worse. But I still like to walk around. Yeah. I prefer it to being at home, you know? I don't like to be at home all the time. But, yeah. So I was studying today, and it said, I was reading like the catechumen lectures for the church, and it was talking about love and how it's self-sacrificing, and they called it suffering love. And I'm happy to be reading that because I've been wondering what it's supposed to look like. What is it when you love something, or not love something, love someone, express your love for people? What does it look like? Well, it's supposed to be suffering love in the Christian view, the Orthodox Christian view. Self-sacrificing. So I'm still really learning, but I didn't copy out, I highlighted a section that was really good, and it just said that basically in summary, it's a lot about denying yourself, like self-denial, picking up your own cross, carrying it, following God's teachings, Jesus' teachings, and doing things that are pleasing to God. That's the main thing. Doing things that are pleasing to God, like aiming your will to be pleasing to Him, and that's how you choose what to do. And it also said that it's like habits, and actually I agree with that a lot. You know, I really agree with the part that it's like really it's habitual, and that you kind of like you grow those things, like they're virtues or whatever, but you grow them. I really agree with that outlook. Just now, all that I know, you know, it's kind of like a plant, sort of. Like you cultivate it somewhat, and like the fruit bears out. So it's sort of like that. Like I really like plant metaphors. You know, I like these kind of plant or growing things metaphors because I think they're really just so accurate. You know, I think they're so accurate. It's like each of us is a plant, but the plant is our heart. And if you like, you know, if you water it and, you know, feed it and allow it to grow, I feel like your heart grows these things, and they kind of come from each person's heart in a way. Now, obviously, there's stuff that happens to us from the outside world that really stomps on us and messes up our plant. That is us. But, yeah, I think over time, like, we can really choose to cultivate some good things. And I think that, they're less, like, apparent to everybody, because sometimes it's hard, because also people don't really recognize a lot of that stuff as it's happening, but only on maybe later and on reflection do people we recognize like good things, especially like in bad times or in like hard times. We kind of think back on good times and realize that they were good in contrast and in comparison. But anyway, so yeah, I agree with the suffering love, but I don't like self-flagellation messages, because they just seem crazy to me. And I like balanced messages, but I don't like when people take a message and then they put like their own self-angry or self-denial insanity into it too deeply, and they just like, oh, and you have to be a monk, and you have to be an ascetic, and you have to, it's like, like, I don't know, I wonder where the balance is. Sometimes I wonder about the balance. You know what I mean? Some people are really extreme with some of this, like I'm talking about like David Goggins, and he's not like a Christian. Well, I think he is a Christian, but when people just go so extreme into like self-flagellation, it's like, whoa, it can just seem crazy sometimes to me. But yeah, I'm not trying to say that the entire message of self-sacrificing love and suffering love is crazy. I think that we want to try and be close to Jesus as possible, in our behavior, and become like God and theosis and all that. Today there was a cat fight. My cat got into a big fight outside, and it's really, I don't know. It's not like a great thing, because I've been keeping him inside because I saw the animal catchers were outside, like the animal emergency service van. And I think what it was my next door neighbor, she has 6 cats, and they went over to her house, and and my cat's been going outside and fighting with other cats, and I think she called the animal services. Like, there's a good chance, I would say there's a good like 30 or 40% chance. It could be a bunch of other things, but I think honestly she probably might have called them saying that there's like an aggressive cat, and it's like wounding my own cat or something like that. Although it might not be true, but I was worried. I was like, oh, they might come and try and take my cat, because my cat's not registered or anything. He doesn't have the ear tattoo. So I was keeping him inside, and I called around, and I got him registered, like a pet license, and I called around to the vets to get like ask if they could put a tattoo in his ear, just in case he ever gets like, lost or picked up or taken to the pound. Then, they could see he's, has an owner. But they wanted like a lot of money. And the one guy was like, honestly, he was really had a bad attitude on the phone. The first guy I talked to a few of them, like few different places, and like, it's weird because like none of them had their like, it's like none of them could answer a simple question. But yeah, the first guy was annoying because he started asking for, I was like, how much for the ear tattoo? And he started asking a bunch of other questions, and I was like, that doesn't matter. because he was like trying to ask like personal questions about my cat, and I didn't really want to give personal information because you really don't sometimes with these services, because sometimes they just like try and use your personal information against you. Like they act really friendly when they ask for it, and then they want to like make it seem like, oh well, you're gonna be in trouble if you don't do this or that or the other thing. And it's like, well, why did I tell you anything? Like, I just would like the information without having to share my entire situation. And so I told him it doesn't matter, and he got like really like snarky about it, because he was like asking about like where my cat was, which vet did my cat go to, and I was like, well, that doesn't matter. And he's like, actually it does matter. And like, I was like, it's not a cat from, well, what if it's not a cat from this jurisdiction, you know? Because he's like, well, actually it does matter, because the vet, well, is supposed to put the ear tattoo in. Did you get it sterilized yourself? And I was like, it's not a cat from this jurisdiction. Like, it came from a different province, you know? They didn't do it there. It's not the same laws as here. Like, the guy was like, honestly had such a bad attitude. But, yeah, I got like the answer. He said they wouldn't give it an ear tattoo, so I just hung up. But yeah, people like in Canada especially have really bad attitudes. There's a lot of bad attitudes all over, but yeah, it's just really bad. And I was annoyed by that, and I had to say like a prayer, because I was like, you know, help me with this anger and frustration, because arguing with people, or like that kind of like argument where people just have like a really snarky attitude, is super annoying, and it's very, very typical of like Canada. But yeah, very annoying. So I had to just pray about it, for God's help with that kind of, you know, frustration. And yeah, and then I called the vets, and they said that it would cost like almost $200 to get him the ear tattoo. And I was like, yeah, I'm probably not gonna pay that. And then I let him out, and then right away, first thing that he did, he went and he got in a huge cat fight, and he came back in the house and he was covered in mud. My cat was absolutely covered in mud. Like dirty, gross, gritty, like street mud or something. Like, it was like he was dripping blood too, so it was like, not like a ton, but like he was dripping blood. And so it was like he like scrapped with another cat right in a puddle or something. And then he came in and he came like right on the coffee table covered in mud, and I was like, what did you do? And so I took him and I gave him a bath, and he didn't like that, but I had to, because he was absolutely covered in mud. And he really didn't like it, but I gave him a bath, I toweled him off, and then I just like gave him a nice spot to just lay in there. And basically he just laid in his spot all day, recovering, in like the blanket. And yeah, I come up to him and he's like so like I come home and he's like so weak. He's like, he looks up at me and I was like, oh, did you have a big cat fight today? He really did, you know. But that's what happens. Like, he gets so aggressive, and then he goes out, he has a huge cat fight, he comes back in and he's just like has to rest for like a day or something, or more than that, I don't know. But it's really bad, because if he keeps doing that, there's, you know, probably going to be consequences. Like, that neighbor is going to get really mad probably. But I don't know what I could do. Like, I can just keep him inside, that's about it. But yeah, I wish the neighbor didn't have 6 cats. I think they're all males, and mine's a male too. So they're very, like, they're territorial. He is fixed, but they're territorial. So anyways, moving on. I gave this is gonna sound weird, but honestly, I don't even care anymore. But like, okay, so I go to this like fried chicken restaurant downtown, and it's like a Korean fried chicken. And there's a worker there who's really nice. His name is, well, I won't say his name, but I'll say his name is Billy. Let's say his name is Billy, but he's a really nice guy. And then he was asking me. I come in. I'm like, hey, Billy, and he was asking me about my book idea, because I had been telling him about that, and I was like, oh yeah, well, it's not really turning out right now, but it was really nice that he remembered and everything. And then I was asking him like how it's going with him, and he's just saying that he's been working, and that it's just like work every day, and he seems like really tired, and he has that look that I see in basically everybody's eyes, where they're just like, they look like they're like in a snap, like they look like they're like going nuts from the system that we're all in. And I feel for him. And so I said, yeah, same shit, different day. And he kind of laughed, and I was like, yeah, I know what that's like. And I said, can I give you something? I told him this whole system's a scam, like this whole Canada is a scam. He said that he's not a citizen here. He's working his butt off before he goes back to his own country. And I said, back to Korea? And I was like, and then he's like, no, I'm from Vietnam. And I was like, ooh, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean to say that. Like, I thought you were Korean. He's like, oh, it's okay. People talk to me like I'm Chinese and all this stuff. I was like, I'm sorry. To me, he looked like, I thought he was Korean because he was working at a Korean fried chicken place. It's not trying to be rude, honestly, but just in my head, like, I quickly put it together. Oh, he's working at a Korean fried chicken place, and honestly, he doesn't. Like, I could see it now that he told me he's Vietnamese, but anyway. But anyways, I said to him, I'm sorry, and he said it's okay. And then I said, can I give you, like, this? I told him this whole system is a scam, and I think he knows that. Like, I think pretty much everybody kind of knows that, but there's such a huge layer of delusion because we've been lied to so much about how everything's so great and everything. But I said, can I give you a document that will explain like the system, like what's going on? He said, yeah. And so I gave him the Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars document, and I told him, I highlighted the part in there you should read, but you don't have to read the whole thing, just read the first, in the beginning, I think on page 9, like, read that. And then he said, yeah, okay, I'll read that. All I do is I go home and I read and I go to bed. I said, okay. And then yeah, I gave that to him, and like, it's just tough. Like, it's so over for everybody. Like, it never even began. And the thing is that it's all like an energy harvesting system, like, that we live in. And so that's why everybody just like is getting so, going so insane and like cracking and having such a difficult time. And yet at the same time, what can we do? It's literally a slave system, and it's such a malicious and like perfidious and pernicious system too. It's like, we don't know anything. Everything that we think and we're doing, it's all managed, it's all known, it's all calculated as well. And the thing is that we don't like that. Like, we don't like to think that. we don't like that at all. Like, we like to think that we have some control over our lives, that we're doing stuff, we're making choices and whatever. It's like, no. Like, it's all just like, I don't even like to say this, but it's like all programming, it's all thought out and everything. And people get mad they get mad at this kind of information because they don't want it to be true, but it is true, and that's the hard part. That's the hard part about it, you know. But anyways, I gave that to him, and I, told him, read this, and I think that he can handle it. Like, I think that people are grown-ups, right? Like, this is a guy in his 20s, people are grown up, but we get treated like we're children, so we kind of act like it, maybe. I don't know if that's really true, but I do kind of think there's some truth to that. But I'm just like, here you go, this is what's going on. And he said he'd read it, so I hope it helps him a bit. Like, it's kind of just a tough pill to swallow, but I told him it's like the whole thing's a scam, Anyway, he left, and he said he's gonna leave now, but I feel like, I hope I didn't really make him feel bad, but a lot of people, they're just kind of like on the edge, and it really doesn't take much to push them over the edge. And the edge, it's just like an emotional release. Like, the edge is really like a break, like that they're gonna start bawling and crying. And people, we don't want to show that weakness in front of other people, really. We want people to be there for us, but it's really hard because in that weakened state, when we're crying and stuff, like, well, what if we're vulnerable, right? And our instinct is, well, what if other people make us feel worse? Like, what if they use that moment when our defenses are guard and everything is down, make us feel worse, and we get damaged, further, or something like that. But I said goodbye. I kind of wish I said, God be with you, but because I had prayed for this guy before. But yeah, I'll pray for him tonight, but it's a tough thing. And he said he wants to go back to Vietnam to open up a burger shop and all this, but yeah, it's a tough one. Like, the whole system's like cooked, But yeah, I gave him the document, and it's real stuff, so hope it helps him. Break through some of that wool and that veil that's over everybody's eyes. But yeah, my own delusion is fading, I would say a lot. Like, a moderate amount. Like, I don't feel as delusional as I did. I still, like, it's tough because it's like a weird thing, because it's like the more delusional you are, the more you fit in, sort of. But it's more just like you feel like shit. You know what I mean? If you fit in, if you like, if you fit in, like, it's not like a good thing. Like, it's so rotten, because if you fit in, it's like worse. Like, because fitting in is like, ideally, like, fitting in would be, you're part of a community, you feel respected, you feel respect for other people, you feel loved, you feel love for other people, you have a role, people know you, you know them, you feel comfortable around them and sharing things and working together and everything like that. Like, that's what fitting in would be like. Great, if that's fitting in, sign me up. I wish, you know what I mean. But literally fitting in like Canada is like delusion, dude. It's so awful. Oh. It's horrible. Like, seriously, it's really tough. It's really, really tough. I think that there may still be some, like, it's like, dude, it's like, it's like, is everything cooked? Like, come on, man, it's so bad. But I would say my delusion's fading a lot. Thanks to be to God, but I still feel like a delusion for like, I wouldn't even call it a delusion, but like a craving for love, a craving for a relationship, is that delusion? Because the main thing is, and what's going on, is that that is what has been attacked like the most, really, is like this relationships between people. So the point is that we are all to be going down like a degenerate route, and all the culture and the society, like the social relationships, they've been like pushed toward that, like toward degeneracy, and they've all been like siphoned and sucked off and gamed and everything, and like we're controlled 1,000%. Um, but we still have, and this is how they control us, is that they know about this, um, and they control us through our desire for these things, especially for relationships. So it's not a delusion, but it's just really hard. You know, it's really hard um, to have these kind of relationships, and have people in your life, and it's really tough because like lately, especially, feels like the more I've been opening up, the more people have been, or the more I've been like kind of opening up and being honest, the more people are just like avoiding me, and you know I've been getting like shunned and everything. But that's been like the story of my life, and it's really tough, and I honestly don't know what to do about it, because if I try and conform, it burns me out. Even if I can maintain like a social relationship, um, it's like it's constantly an energetic deficits type of thing somehow. But I mean, I would rather be more open and honest. I feel like that's a better thing, because then I don't have to pretend. And when I if I do, and meet people or whatever. But yeah, it's really tough, honestly. It's really tough, because that's kind of like where the delusional part comes in, because it's like I've been wanting that for years. I think that's what we all want, right? Um but yeah, it's brutal. It's so hard. So difficult, man. But anyway, I still feel like a fear, and this, I don't know, like, I don't know if these things are like totally delusional or what, but I feel like a fear about having money to live, pay rent and food. I have that for like the short term, like I have that, for the short term, and thanks be to God. But I still feel a fear and a worry about long term, which I don't like feeling that, but I think I'm not really supposed to think like that, because I'm supposed to trust in God, and so this is like another thing where I just need to have faith. Because like if we just have the clothes on our back, food to eat, and a place to stay, or like shelter, that's good. You know what I mean? Like that's all we really are supposed to have. Um, of course, people have a lot more than that. A lot of people do, and but it's just that when we get in a cycle of like wanting more, and when's it enough and everything. But um, yeah, I think that's kind of where it gets tricky. Um, but yeah, when you're young, I would say that you have a lot of energy, but when you get old, not so much, and so it's kind of gets more tough, um, to do all this stuff. When I was young, I had a ton of energy. but I had like the wrong kind of guidance, and no guidance, and the wrong kind of guidance, and I fell into all the passions and desires and everything. Um, not in every way, but yeah, and making a lot of like thoughts about, oh well, thinking about things in the future, like, oh well, I'll still have the energy, but now I'm older, and when you get older, your energy goes down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is something that people maybe don't consider when they're young, is that they have a lot of energy, but when you're older, it really does change. It really does. Now, some older people, they have a lot of energy. It'd be surprising if they did, but maybe they do. Um, but yeah, I don't like false promises. Um, that's something that has been that I've never really liked and has happened so much. But I get mad at people. Like, I don't really say it too much, but when people say stuff like, "Oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. Oh, let's go see a movie sometime. Oh, let's hang out sometime. Oh, let's you know they start throwing out all these things like projections into the future, and this happens so much, especially with not all young people, a lot of young people, they just or Canadians in general, I guess, but they have a habit of doing that type of stuff, and maybe the intention is good or whatever, but seriously, 80% no follow through, more like 90%. It's weird too, because it's like people say this stuff, but I wonder in their head, do they just expect it to happen? Like, they say it, but they don't have any plans. They don't even say like, I will, let's hang out sometime. But they don't say like, yeah, let's hang out sometime. I will contact you and set it up. And then you would think a normal thing would be like, okay, that sounds great. And then you wait, and then maybe they text you the same day or next day and be like, okay, I made plans for this weekend at this time. Can you make it? And then your thing would be ready to go, like, your thing would happen. But for the most part, people would just say, oh yeah, let's hang out sometime. And then it's like, ... crickets, like, and then days go by, weeks go by, and you never do anything. Months go by. These people are so fake, dude. You know what I mean? Like, so I just don't like false promises. And the worst is when your family does it to you. My dad did that to me and to us all the time, constantly. It was just like so fake. And it's like people will do that, and then they just like, it's like they're dangling a carrot, and you have to like chase that carrot to try and get a bite, and you have to do all the work to set it up yourself. It's like, it makes me mad. But anyway, I have a and actually this happened at church now twice. One guy at church, and I honestly, I'm getting kind of mad because he's been like saying these things like, we'll organize a thing, but now I think 3 times he's canceled, and I realize he's going through something. But the thing is, if you're gonna say this stuff, tell people you're gonna cancel. He's saying, we're gonna hang out at my house after church, and then I go up to him and I was like, is that hangout still happening? And he's like, no, I don't think it's gonna happen. It's like, okay, have a good day, have a good week. And then the next time he's like, oh, we're gonna hang out after my house at church. Like, he'll send a message, and then I go up to him after. This happened twice. Like, are we still hanging out? He's like, oh, but he's not here, and this is not here, and no, I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm like, okay, like, I'm like, okay, well, have a good week. Like, bro, this is It's the same shit. Dude, I'm so it gets annoying. But yeah, that happened like 3 times already. And now he's organizing another one for Sunday. And I don't know if it's gonna happen again. I almost didn't even want to like respond. I didn't even really want to say like, yeah, I'll come, because it's like, dude, are you even serious? And also the thing is that you can't call anybody on anything in Canada because people can't handle the conflict. And it becomes a massive drama. Like the littlest things too. But anyway, I mean, what can you do? I just see if it happens in the future. I don't know. But yeah, I have an idea in my head for this summer to host a barbecue, and like now at this point, I know that when I have an idea for something to happen, I have to do every single step. I have to do all the planning. If I want something to happen, I have to do all the planning. I have to basically do a test run, essentially. Like, maybe not with the barbecue, but I'd have to go scout the location. I'd have to, get the permits. I'd have to get everything set up. I'd have to basically either do like a mock run in my head or whatever, just to make sure that things would happen smoothly from start, middle to finish. And like literally I have to do everything for things to happen and for it to be like just a good time. And the thing too is that in Canada, like, we're so spoiled as well. Like, people are super spoiled. And I'm not trying to be mean, but people are super spoiled, so they hear something and they will expect everything too, and they really nitpick. Canadians are extreme nitpickers. If anything is a little bit off or goes wrong, or if something is missing, and they don't appreciate things that much, honestly. Like, they kind of appreciate it, but they really are looking for things that are going wrong or off, and they focus on that stuff. So it's almost like at this point I'm just like wise to it. Like, I'm just like, I cannot really expect people to just have a relaxed attitude like I do and enjoy things, even though I don't enjoy things as much, but I used to really enjoy things. I have to like have things all done and set up beforehand, and I also have to preempt anything that people are going to be mad about. And so if I say like we're going to have a barbecue, or I'm going to host a barbecue, I'd have to like basically tell them exactly what's going to happen and what to expect, because it's like all Canadians are like children. I'm not trying to be really mean, but yeah, it's just really brutal. But yeah, I have it in my head to host a barbecue, and I want it to be like a kind of like a Christian barbecue, like basically where I would say a prayer at some point, and the whole theme would just be like barbecue for Christians. Like, that's it. And that's in my mind. Like, that would be it. Like, it would be like a nice summer day. There would be green grass, there would be sun, maybe clouds, maybe sun. Have all the stuff. Basically have a fire, cook food. I'd buy and provide everything. I'd invite people. Maybe there'd be like 4 or 5 people would show up. That would be great. We'd read. I'd read a Bible verse, or we'd pray, we'd eat, and that would literally be it. It would just be hanging out, and there might be like an activity or something. That's it. And then it would just be like that for like 2 hours, maybe more, but that would be the whole thing. And I think it would be great, honestly, to do something like that. But yeah. Another thing today, I told the Indian cashier, East Indian cashier, that our country is a scam. I'm not sure why, but he asked me that question that I hate getting asked. He asked me, "How are you?" And I hate this question. Does anybody else hate this question? It's the most annoying question ever because it's just a fake question and you're basically just supposed to lie and try and jump to whatever you want to talk about. But it's super fake too because like at the cashier, whatever, no one cares. Like no one cares, dude. And also the other thing is that everything is horrible, so you're basically just reinforcing lying every time, and people do it to each other, so it's like a programming thing, is that even though everything is horrible, you don't personally want to feel like a bad person for acknowledging that everything is horrible, so you just lie and say, "Oh, good, how are you?" So it's super fake, it's super annoying, and it's just like a programming thing. But I said to him, you know, I'm alright, I guess. I'm alive. You know, I think this country's a scam. And he, like, kind of, like, had a smirky chuckle. And it was weird. It's weird because sometimes people will do that, but they won't, like, agree with you. They'll just have, like, a smirky chuckle if you say something that's true. And I don't really like that because it's like, what's your smirk and your chuckle about? Like, do you agree or do you not agree, or are you just, like, afraid? You know, you hear the truth, but you just want to have, like, a little jokey laugh. But I think he kind of acknowledged it, sort of. But I felt a bit bad after. I don't really know why I said that, but he said, like, thank you, hope you have a good day. And I said, yeah, have a good day. To him, too. I wasn't trying to be rude or anything, but I think all the immigrants know that it's a scam, like, this is a scam country. Oh, yeah, he asked me where I'm from. I said, I'm from here. I said, where, like, how I lived here my whole life. How long have you been here? He says 2 years. But I think they all know it's a scam. But they're down with it, like, because for the East Indians, there's 1.5 billion of them. Canada has 40 million. So they have 1,500 million. We have 40 million. And their country sucks too. Like, it doesn't totally suck, but for a lot of them, they want to get out of there, and they think that Canada is going to be better. But they're also sold like a scam too, from the pictures and the advertisements and everything. And the whole thing's just a huge scam, basically. But we're all being scammed. But for them, I think for a lot of them, they hate it. But they realize that it's worse back in India because they're coming here for, like, some sort of opportunities. But in India, I think that they love it because it's their, you know, motherland or fatherland or whatever. But it's also, like, a total dump in a lot of places, and they want to go to something better, but here it's like soulless, essentially, and it's a scam. So kind of a rock and a hard place for them too, but they're being used 1,000% as just like goyim labor, basically. But anyway, but yeah, I think they all know it's a scam at this point. Like, who doesn't at this point, you know? Maybe boomers, but yeah, how are you is like the most annoying question ever, especially when it's strangers, you know? But yeah, sometimes I wonder if anything I do has any effect, and I think some does. The Christian things, I think, especially have an effect. I don't really get much, like, payoff quote, but the thing is, you're not really supposed to expect much payoff. Like, it's kind of like self-sacrificial love, you know, or suffering love. And I'm not saying that this country's a scam is suffering love, but I think it's at least honest. But yeah, I did feel a bit bad because it's like, this is my country, like, and it's totally prostituted, basically, or I don't know. I don't know how to put that very well, but it's totally gooched, totally bought and sold. But yeah, anyway. But yeah, I think Christian things especially have an effect because the thing is about doing things that are like Christian, and by that I mean genuinely, what Christ tells us to do. When you do that, it's more of a spiritual thing. So it's like you're speaking on a spiritual level to people, or you're doing things on a spiritual level to people, or you're passing the Holy Spirit, like hopefully, ideally, like hopefully, we can only have faith, right? That's happening. And I think you can kind of feel it too a little bit on a spiritual level. But that I think has an effect because it's raising, I don't want to say raising consciousness, but it's raising it's like giving food for the soul. Like man cannot live on bread and water alone. So it's like you're giving people something that their soul actually is hungry for. And I think that does have an effect, Even if it does make people feel guilty, or it brings up their, anger or something like that, like, that's okay. Like, I just hope it helps people to seek God more, I would say that, the people have had an effect on me when they've talked about Christian things. Like, I used to be on this app, and I would try and read to people, and it was a very depressing part of my life, lonely part of my life, but I would be on this like app for like lonely, depressed, anxious, mentally ill or struggling people, called Talk Life, and I'd make a post like, does anybody want me to read to them, or can I read to anybody? And some people would actually take me up on it. And this one girl, and she was like, I think like 18 or 19, and she lived in South Carolina, and she wanted me to read her the Bible. And actually she put a bunch of effort into trying to get me to be more Christian because I had like a Christian background, and she was like trying to like convert me essentially. And I was mad because I was like, this is annoying. Like, these are like tough decisions that I want to be able to think about and make on my own. And here's this like young girl, like trying to like coax me or convince me to be more Christian or be a Christian or whatever. And so I was kind of annoyed by this, but actually she had an effect, and I didn't want to give her the satisfaction. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of telling her that she had an effect, but actually she did. And so yeah, I'm thankful for her for doing that. And yeah, I mean, I kind of miss her. Like, a lot of my relationships and stuff, like the people I talk to, by the way, it's like an app for crazy people. Like, a lot of that stuff just didn't last, but it was sort of like, I guess it was like all people that were lonely at the same time. So sometimes that doesn't really work. Like you would think like, oh, I have a lonely person here and a lonely person here. I'll put them together and they'll both be together and they won't be lonely. But it doesn't always work like that. You know what I mean? But anyway. Oh jeez. Okay. But yeah, I think some stuff does have an effect on people, even if you never get to hear about it, you know. Yeah, we don't always get the validation or the appreciation that we want, but anyways, or that we desire. But I still think some stuff does have an effect, and also God can see when we do good things, and that's what we're supposed to be aiming toward, is things that are pleasing to God, you know. Okay, so I would like a job. I was thinking today I would like a job with working with animals. That would be nice, like working with animals or working on a farm or something. I prefer kind of like these jobs because I don't like lying jobs. Do you know what I mean? Like there's jobs, it's like most of them, a lot of jobs, they like require you to be a liar. And that's so awful, you know? And literally that is most jobs, especially in Canada. They like tell you, we want someone with a positive attitude, we want positive team player, positive mindset, we have company policy. Literally at my last job, they made us swear an oath to the government. Because I worked for like a government job. We had to swear an oath. And it's like, literally these jobs are just like forcing you to be a liar, because then you're afraid that you're going to get in trouble from your supervisor or lose your job or get like a reprimand or something. Yeah. So I don't like lying jobs. And like you would think, okay, well that's not so bad, but only if you're on board with their mission. And a lot of people are just like, F it, I want the money, right? Which, I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense. Can understand that. But you really do have to lie like crazy for a lot of these jobs, and I don't like that, honestly. You know, like I've done that for a long time, but it wears you down over time, and it's awful. Like, it honestly is awful, because like at that government job, they basically wanted everybody to be down and on board with all this like LGBT stuff, and I'm like, I'm not into it. Like, I don't support that, you know? And that was the culture. That was the company culture or the government culture or whatever. And they just rephrase it and they just guilt you. The entire thing is just guilting. They're like, oh, well, we're inclusive. Oh, we're diversity. Oh, we're all this garbage. And it's sick, dude. It's sick. It is sick. By the way, I put these on my hands. There are little things for the fingertips so that I don't chew my nails. I know that sounds crazy, but I've chewed my nails since I was a kid, and it's something I really don't like doing, is chewing my nails. But it's such a habit, especially at night, so I use these.